Greetings, this is Mr. Caslin. Today I just wanted to go over just some very basic skills that it seems like everyone these days could use a little review on, just fraction math. So just a quick review on multiplying, dividing, adding, subtracting fractions. If you haven't used it in a while, you get a little rusty at it. Now, first problem here is for multiplying fractions. When I ask students what to do, a lot of students immediately say, Mr. Caslin, cross multiply. Well, no, cross multiplying is, remember the x. We're not doing that here because we're not solving an equation for x. We're not solving an equation. When you multiply two fractions, you just want to multiply across. Multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. 3 times 1 is, of course, 3. And 4 times 2 is 8. So you get a fraction 3/8. You always want to look at the fraction that you get and see if you can reduce it at all. Do 3 and 8 have any common factors? It turns out they do not. So the answer to that would be 3/8. Okay, so just multiply across, which is different than cross multiplying. We'll cover cross multiplying in a different video. All right, division. Division, a lot of people, when you're doing division, talk about KCF. We're going to call that keep, change, flip. Okay, let's take this division and turn it into a multiplication problem. The reason we want to do that is division of fractions looks kind of complicated because 3/4 divided by 1/2. We have a fraction divided by a fraction. That can get kind of complicated thinking about it this way. So what we can do is, remember, keep, change, flip. We can keep the first fraction the way it is. We can change the operation to a multiplication. And then we can flip that second fraction. Basically, you're multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, keep, change, flip. Now, once you do that, the problem becomes the same as we worked up here. You're going to multiply the numerators. You're going to multiply the denominators. 3 times 2. And we have a 4 times 1. Now, do the numerator and denominator have a common factor? Turns out they do. They're both even numbers. They have a common factor of 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Whatever you do to the numerator, well, in this case, whatever you do to the numerator, you can do the denominator. So 6 over 4 is the same as 3 over 2. All right, so that's multiplying, dividing fractions. Now, when you add fractions, it's a little bit more difficult because you can't just add across. You cannot add across. Okay, you have to have common denominator. Okay. Common denominator of 2 and 4. Think of it as the least common multiple. Okay, 4 times 1 is 4. 2 times 2 is also 4. They have a common multiple of 4. All right, now, what do you multiply 4 by to get 4? Well, it's just itself. You're multiplying by 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. So that fraction just stays the same because it has the same denominator, the one you're after. Now this one here, what do you multiply a 2 by to get 4? Well, you'd have to multiply the denominator by 2. Whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator. Okay, so 1/2 is the same as 2 over 4. Now we're ready to add these fractions. Now you can add the numerators across. 3 plus 2 is 5. And you keep the denominator, that common number, which is 4. This is also known as, if you have a teacher that wants you to convert this to a mixed number, it would be 1 and you'd have 1 left over, so 1 1/4. Now I teach a lot of algebra, and in algebra you want to keep these numbers in improper fractions. So I like to keep it in improper fractions because that will help you solve algebra equations. Okay, so multiplying and dividing is different than adding and subtracting. If this was a subtraction problem, we would have still gotten our common denominators. We would have had 3/4 minus 2/4, and on the subtraction problem we would have ended up with a 1/4. So subtraction, very similar to addition. You have to get those common denominators and perform your subtraction with the numerator. Okay, this is good to come back and check every once in a while because with those calculators, a lot of students don't practice this often enough. So every once in a while you have to come back and just remind yourself of the basic fraction math. We'll see you next time.